Well, there's a sad story that I just read in the media. Beginning of August of 2026, Matia, he was a 13-year-old boy, he passed away. He died after having been 9 years in a vegetative state, in a coma, because when he was a young child, 4 years old, he's eaten cheese, which was contaminated with a specific strain of E. coli bacterium. And he got ill because of that, and essentially he's been in a coma for 9 years in a vegetative state. Now the cheese that he ate, the child ate, was made from raw milk. And of course there were court trials, and during the trial it turned out that, actually the cheese manufacturers and the milk producers, they did not stick to safety guidelines. As a matter of fact, they did not have a proper safety protocol, and there was severe sloppiness during the milk collection and manufacturing of the cheese. So 2 people ultimately got convicted. So just to give you some examples here, the workers went into the cow stables with boots, and they went into with the same boots. They went into the cheese production facility. They found out that the hose which was used for collecting the milk was essentially also dropped into the cow manure, so it got contaminated like this. They found dirty filters and so on. So there was apparently quite a bit of sloppiness going on. The media documented this quite well. Ultimately, 2 people were convicted, and now that the boy has passed away, the prosecutors want to reopen the case again and push additional charges for negligent homicide. Okay, that they actually goes that far. Now there are a couple of things that really disturb me in this whole thing here, and that's not just the sloppiness of the manufacturers here, but there were two other points here that I would like to talk about, and that's maybe the main point of the video. And the first thing is that in recent years, the consumption of raw milk has seen a comeback, so to say, and has grown to become more and more popular, actually against the advice of the authorities. I've been wondering a little bit why, and during my research I discovered that some people consider raw milk and raw milk products as more natural. As a matter of fact, apparently some companies actually sell raw milk and raw milk products as more natural, which I don't understand, honestly, and also as more nutritional. There is no foundation to either one of these claims, right? Just heating milk to kill bacteria, and indeed the milk is only heated for a few seconds, and this is enough to kill the bacteria. This does not make heated milk, an unnatural product. I mean, we're cooking most of our food. Nobody would say that a pizza that we're baking at, I don't know, let's say 200 or 250 degrees Celsius, nobody's going to say this is unnatural because it was baked. It's baked pizza. Come on, right? Water is being boiled to kill bacteria. I mean, nobody calls boiled water as unnatural, right? So this argument about being natural or so, it really doesn't. There's no basis to that, really. I don't understand this. The second thing is that it's also claimed, well, when you boil milk to kill bacteria, you're kind of destroying the nutrients and you're making the milk less nutritious, and that's complete nonsense. That is not correct. It's factually not correct. Okay. First of all, the minerals, like for example the calcium that you find in milk, it doesn't change because of heat, right? Number 2, the proteins, they will actually refold and change their shape. They will denature due to heat. I mean, it's the reason why heating kills off bacteria as well, because you're destroying the proteins that the bacteria have. But who cares about that? Because the stomach acid is going to break apart those proteins anyway, right, into their building blocks, into the so-called amino acids. So the stomach will take care of it. The third thing is that the milk sugar, the lactose, does not change because of the heat. The milk fat doesn't change, right? So there is actually nothing there that reduces the nutritional quality of the milk. Well, some of you might argue, well, what about the vitamins? Indeed, there are certain vitamins that do break when you heat them up. However, and it's a big one, milk is not a main source of those vitamins. That means if you're concerned about a vitamin loss because of heating it, just eat an apple or some fruit, you know. So there is not enough vitamin there in the first place anyway to be reasonably effective. But heating milk really increases the safety of that food. So it doesn't really, so actually saying that raw milk is healthier actually is, in my view, completely misleading, because it's actually a high-risk food. Right, and we've just seen, and we're seeing it over and over again, where children who have eaten raw milk products, they become ill. right? And as a matter of fact, this is documented. That's why, for example, children, pregnant women, and also people with a suppressed immune system should not be eating raw milk or raw milk products. Yeah? So these are the things here that essentially raw milk and raw milk products are kind of sold, I would say, with completely wrong information. Now, I do understand that some people want to support their local farmers and they want to get whole unskimmed milk because it has a high fat content, and maybe they prefer drinking that. And actually, I don't have a problem with that, but then at least boil it. Right, and indeed in some countries it is allowed to sell raw milk directly from the cow, and it can be bought directly off the farm. The laws are different in different countries, but even then some countries require that there's a label on it, raw milk, and heat before use. Right, in other countries it's completely prohibited. Yeah, and still in other countries you're not allowed, like in the United States, I think in some states it can be sold, but you're not allowed to transport it across other states to other states. So it's kind of a patchwork. But the problem is that sometimes consumers think if something is legal in a certain area, that it's automatically safe. And there's a difference here, because the authorities, the food safety authorities and so on, do not consider raw milk a safe product, right? But if consumers want to buy it, so to say, then what are you supposed to do against it? So at least heat up the milk, boil the milk, and if there are some milk producing farmers, then I don't know, I wouldn't take the risk to sell raw milk and then have the risk of the people who drink that milk becoming ill, because I want to be covered legally myself, right? That's, I think it's a legal risk. Yeah? So that's another thing. And the third thing, and that's maybe the next thing that's kind of really bothering me, and that's a huge area all by itself, is that, how should I put it? As soon as there is a discussion concerning food and culture and heritage, very quickly the debate starts becoming one that's becomes not objective. How shall I put it? You see, nobody wants to be told how to prepare food that has been prepared in a certain way traditionally. You often hear, yeah, I've been eating this food for many years and I'm fine. Yeah, sure, lucky you. But as soon as you tell that's not safe, people very quickly become offended and they close their ears, and the discussion shifts very quickly into one of cultural identity and identity in general. So for example, in the case of Matia, the boy that has died, this happened in Italy, and in Italy many traditional cheeses are made of raw milk, and the whole thing immediately quickly went into a debate of Italian food and Italian identity and so on. And this is not useful, right? So basically eating raw milk products has become a question for some people of, I don't know, maybe being patriotic. In other countries, consuming raw milk might be a sign that you're especially frugal, and it's kind of a lifestyle thing, you know. But it has nothing to do with safety anymore. It's all of a sudden a lifestyle discussion, and do you follow a certain lifestyle or not? But it should not be separated from it. It's still unsafe, right? And this connecting a certain food and certain food traditions, and using that as a justification that you should not implement safety standards, I think that's a problem. I want to give you another example that kind of bothered me. I mean, during the pandemic several years ago, there were the mask mandates, right? People had to wear face masks to prevent the spread of droplets and to reduce the spreading of the virus. And immediately the whole thing went into an identity debate. I mean, I was myself in a supermarket during that time. A lady refused to wear the face mask, and she was told by the employees of the supermarket and also by other customers, look, there's a law now, you have to wear a face mask. And then she immediately says, started to rant against the government and so on. It's been politicized. Right? No, what does this have to do? We've got to stop the spread of the virus, right? But to her it became an identity thing, right? And that's generally a problem. And you see this happening all over and over and over again, not only with raw milk or certain ways of preparing food or so. We've seen this back in the day in the 19th century with hand washing, surgeons having to wash their hands and sterilizing their hands. Initially, there was great opposition to that because doctors don't have dirty hands, period. This was kind of, because who are you? Doctors are gentlemen, and I'm quoting now, and we don't have dirty hands. And washing hands or disinfecting them before surgery kind of would imply that I'm dirty, and I'm not dirty because I'm a doctor and I'm educated. You see, this was actually a discussion. This was what happened back in the 19th century. Yeah. We're seeing this again, as I mentioned, with the pandemic. We're seeing it now with raw milk, and all over and over again. I remember back in the 1980s and 1990s, during the HIV/AIDS epidemic, the whole thing started to all of a sudden become a debate of sexual orientation and morality. No, you gotta fight the virus, and not just sidetrack and now have some kind of an ethical debate. That's not going to help fight the virus. So this is a general problem that I see in many discussions, health related, and not only these days, that very quickly those topics that are supposed to be purely scientific essentially become diverted or hijacked, or I don't know, and all of a sudden it's becoming an identity thing. That's not useful. Okay, just wanted to share that with you. There's a comment section. Convince me of the opposite if you feel that I'm not right. I'm open to take different points of view. But this specific case with the boy, just as you probably have recognized by now, kind of frustrated me. Yeah. And that's why I wanted to make this video. Well, in any case, I wish you a nice day, and I hope to see you again in the next video. Bye-bye.